Well, welcome back. We're going to do a second part to What's New at FamilySearch 2025. This one will cover things that involve temple ordinances. And so if you want to see the main presentation, the one that has the bulk of the changes that happened at FamilySearch last year and up until this week, if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find what's new at FamilySearch in 2025, which is a presentation that really just basically precedes this one. So we're going to talk about the things that have to do with the temple and changes that have occurred. And the first thing we need to talk about a little bit is the relationship viewer. We talked about that in the other presentation. The relationship viewer was changed. The submission policy wasn't changed, but the relationship viewer was changed. In the past, this viewer that helped us determine relationships between us and people in the tree worked going back 15 generations and coming down 15 generations. That has been changed now so that you can go back for direct ancestors as far as 200 AD, no matter how many generations that takes. And if you have an ancestor living at that time, it'll tell you how you're related. It'll also still work for indirect relations, people like your cousins, but those will be based on if you have a common ancestor between you and the other person that you're trying to get the relationship to. The common ancestor had to be born after the year 1500 AD. And if they fall within that guidelines, they'll tell you your relationship. Now, related means your ancestors and their descendants and the spouses of their descendants. This includes step families, foster families, adopted families. And it also can include people who are in a geographic location with the same surname, but few records that exist to tie people together. That one exception, that last one, will require working with FamilySearch to get names cleared because you're not going to show a relationship. Now, related is interpreted now pretty much the same way, but it also includes your undivorced spouse's family. So now you legally are related to your undivorced spouse in addition to your own blood ancestors and cousins. Now, in the past, enforcement of the policy, and this is where the big change was, enforcement of the policy was a self-enforcement program. In other words, FamilySearch trusted us not to abuse things. Unfortunately, their trust was broken by a few people that used the system, and to such a degree that something had to be done. Enforcement now is done because the relationship viewer will determine if you're related or not. And if you're not related with the relationship viewer showing it, you're not going to be able to reserve names. It's as simple as that. Now, the thing is, the policy hasn't changed. The policy's always been you're supposed to do the work for people you're related to. In the past, they trusted us to enforce it ourselves. That didn't work as a whole. And so now they're putting in a policy or a system where the program will determine if you're related or not. Now, remember in the past, the limits were ancestors had to be born before 1500 or ancestors born before 1500, you would have to get permission to do from FamilySearch, and born before 200 AD, you'd have to get first presidency approval. Now, your responsibility is just to make sure your tree is accurate, and FamilySearch through the relationship viewer will determine for you if you're related. And it'll go back to that 200 AD point where, except for a few instances such as Chinese and other Oriental groups where you have the family books that go back maybe even before then. but for those of us with the Western European background, you're going to have First Presidency approval to do names before 200 AD. Okay, are you related? Starting in December of last year, and still going now, the temple icons have changed just slightly. You have a little bit slightly different setup. We're familiar with the green temple with the clock, and now there's a temple that's not green and has a dotted line around it. And that officially means the ordinances are not available, and there could be many different reasons. It also now includes not available because they are not related to you. And if you go to the person's ordinance tab on their person page to look at their ordinances, it will spell that out for you and say they are not related because, or that you can't do these ordinances. They're not available because you're not related. Okay. Now the green temple with no symbols around it means that you, the current user that's looking at this, are related to this person and you can reserve. Always remember there's two steps here. There's reserving, and that requires the person who is related. And then there's the second phase of reservations, the printing of the card and the doing of the work in the temple. That can be done by anybody. You don't have to be related to take a name to the temple. But to do the actual reservation, you have to be related. And of course, we've got the temple with the clock on it. And like I said, this was originally reserved by somebody who was related. And now anybody who finds this can go ahead and grab it, print the card, and take it to the temple and do the work for the person. Okay, new ordinance features. This is really a neat tool. This is, I don't know, I guess Family Ordinance Opportunities is a pre-FamilySearch lab experiment. It's kind of before the experiment stage. You can get to it with the link that's there on the screen. It's a campaign. And what it is, after you sign in, is they show you your pedigree. And by the way, you can change the pedigree view by clicking on one of the people in the pedigree on their little fan chart icon, and it'll move them to the primary position, and you'll now see people further back in time. But essentially what this is for is to help you find ordinance opportunities. It's kind of like a step above using ordinances ready. This way you are actually seeing where you're doing things. And so each couple that has descendants that have ordinance opportunities will have a little green circle and a number inside. And that number inside is supposed to represent how many people descend from these two people that need or have ordinance opportunities. They may not need ordinances, but they have ordinance opportunities. And so I circled one here. It was one of my third great grandparents, and it says 100. Now, whether there's actually exactly 100 or not, I don't know. The numbering and what's really there doesn't match all the time because this is still kind of experimental. But what it'll do is when you click on that number, it's going to give you a list of people. There'll be two kinds of people. There'll be people with orange temples. They call them yellow. To me, they look orange. Those are people who have something that needs to be cleaned up. And so if you work on that person a little bit, go to their records, you might have to standardize something or find a place or a date. Once they're cleaned up, it's possible, not guaranteed, but it's possible that that orange or yellow symbol will turn green. So that's one kind of opportunity that's there. And then you're going to find the green temples that are just straight green temples, like the last person there on the screen who needs all their ordinances, or you'll find people who are green with the clock, meaning somebody's reserved them and shared them with the temple, And if you want to do an endowment, you can click on that endowment and print it and take it to the temple and do Jackson's temple work. And so this is a nice step that kind of takes you from Ordinance is ready, where you really don't know where you're getting these names from without searching around, to starting by saying, okay, I'm going to go over on, in this case, on my Givens side of the family and see if I can find a Givens relative that needs simple work. And so it's a nice little tool. Hopefully it will mature into a permanent feature at FamilySearch. If you like it, please make sure you tell FamilySearch that you like it. And if there's issues, tell them what the issues are. Okay, Family Name Assist was released this last year, so it falls under this. And there's still people that don't know what this is all about. This was a program that was introduced last year to help ward leaders especially, and especially bishops and branch presidents, to help new members take a name to the temple the first time they go by through the recommend process, get in a recommend. They can also at the same time generate a name to take to the temple. If they don't have a tree, they can just begin a tree by saying, okay, you know, I have my father and he's dead and he needs his work done. And so we can generate a card for the father, and you can take the father's card to the temple when you go and do the temple work. Or if you already have a tree going and it's functional, you can just go straight to Ordinances Ready, get some names, print them up, and have names ready to go. And this was designed mainly for these new members of the church who we're finding are not all going to the temple shortly after baptism, and most of them are not taking family names. And so this is an attempt to help get the system working again the way it really should. There are also two other groups that you can work with, and this is all found. This is on a web page. The URL's up there under Family Name Assist. And on this page, you'll find some videos, and one of them will help you see how you can use this tool with new and returning members. So members who are returning to activity and who want to go to the temple and haven't been endowed. And it'll show you how you can set them up the same way to be able to go do baptisms and take names, and also to help the youth. So I think in most cases with the youth, the Ordinances Ready path is probably the best path. There'll be very few of the youth that can go in there and generate a name from a real close relative from scratch, unless they're the first member of the family. Then if they are, they would fall under new members. Now, in addition to this, they have an actual demo that you can try, and it'll walk you right through it so you can see exactly how this functions. Then in addition to that, they have a list at the bottom of the page for this of frequently asked questions that will try to answer most of the questions about this experience. And then there's a dozen opportunities here with different resources to help explain things that are related to this tool and first-time experiences at the temple. And it's just really a well put together page, including, like I said before, if you look at this page here, there's a try demo. Anybody can look at that and see exactly how this system works. It walks you through a demo of how a person would generate a name. Okay. Now, those are the things, like I said, there wasn't a lot, but those were the things that we found that had to do with the temple this year that needed to be brought up and brought forward to make sure that you're aware of them. If you like this class, you can go to our channel on YouTube. If you just Google Fresno North Stake, and in YouTube, it'll probably bring the channel right up. And there you'll be able to see all the, I think this is like 86 or so videos that we have put out so far. And if you subscribe, every time one of these is posted, you will get a notice directly. and you won't have to wait for us to contact you or to find us on a family or a Facebook group feed or something like that. So we appreciate you being here today, and we'll be seeing you in the near future with another presentation. Thank you for being here.